You know what's crazy? There's a mansion in Newport Beach that held one of Hollywood's darkest secrets for 32 years, and nobody, I mean absolutely nobody, was allowed inside. And when they finally broke that seal in 2011, what came out shook the entire entertainment industry to its core. But here's what gets me. The real story isn't about what they found, it's about what John Wayne was hiding from everyone, including his own family. And I'm going to tell you something right now that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about the Duke. See, most people think John Wayne died rich and happy. Wrong on both counts. His estate was worth way less than anyone expected, his wife got completely cut out of the will, and his kids are still fighting over his legacy in court today. But the wildest part, the part that nobody talks about, starts way before he became famous. Back when he was just a scared kid named Marion who almost drowned in a frozen creek. And that moment, that split second between life and death, it explains everything about who he became. So buckle up because this story goes places you won't believe. Let me paint you a picture. It's 1910 in Iowa, freezing cold, and this 3-year-old kid falls through the ice into a creek. Water's pulling him under, he's going down, and out of nowhere, a random stranger yanks him out and saves his entire life. Now that kid, his name was Marion Robert Morrison. Not exactly the toughest name you've ever heard, right? And get this, his parents were so checked out that when his baby brother was born, they literally just took Marion's middle name, Robert, and gave it to the new kid. Imagine that. Your parents caring so little they just recycle your name for the next child. And honestly, I think that rejection, that feeling of not being enough, it drove him to become the biggest star Hollywood ever saw. But here's where it gets interesting. The name Duke, that everyone knows him by, that didn't come from some macho origin story. It came from his dog. Seriously, his Airedale Terrier was named Duke, and the firefighters in Glendale started calling them Big Duke and Little Duke because they were always together. And Marion loved it so much, it stuck. But the transformation into John Wayne, that's a whole different story that involves a career-ending injury and a twist of fate that seems almost too perfect. So Marion gets a football scholarship to USC in 1925. He's studying pre-law, he's in a fraternity, everything's looking up, and then bam, one body surfing accident destroys his shoulder and kills his football career instantly. Losing that scholarship crushed him. He thought his life was over at 18 years old. But here's what nobody tells you. That injury became the best thing that ever happened to him because it forced him into Hollywood. And in 1927, he's working at Fox Studios moving props for $35 a week. Not acting, not starring in anything, literally just moving furniture and equipment while the real actors walked past him like he was invisible. His first time on camera wasn't even credited. He played some random football player in a forgettable film. And for almost 10 years, he grounded out in over 80 cheap westerns, sometimes shooting an entire movie in 48 hours. Can you even imagine that pace? And he was so broke during this period that his only meal every day was a can of beans heated on a hot plate in his apartment. By 1938, he was ready to quit, ready to walk away from acting forever. But then John Ford saw something in him that nobody else did. And what happened next changed cinema history, except it almost didn't happen at all. Here's the thing about Stagecoach in 1939. The studio executives wanted Gary Cooper for the lead role. They wanted a proven star, somebody safe. But John Ford said no, it's John Wayne or I walk. And he literally threatened to quit the entire production if they didn't cast this nobody who'd been doing low-budget garbage for a decade. So they finally caved, and Wayne was so nervous for his big, iconic scene, the one where he's standing there with a rifle and the camera zooms into his face. It took 27 attempts to get it right. 27 takes for a scene that lasted maybe 5 seconds on screen. And when that movie hit theaters, Wayne became an overnight sensation. Stagecoach got 7 Oscar nominations, won 2, and suddenly everyone wanted to work with him. Except here's the kicker. They paid him $3,700 for the role that made him famous, while established actors were pulling in $40,000 or $50,000. But money didn't matter anymore, because he'd finally made it, or so he thought, because his relationship with John Ford was about to get really complicated and really toxic. For the next 50 years, Wayne and Ford made 14 films together that basically defined what American cinema looked like. But Ford treated Wayne like absolute garbage on set, like genuinely abusive behavior. During The Searchers in 1956, Ford made Wayne pick up a gun 17 times. 17 times for one simple action, just to humiliate him in front of everybody. And Wayne never said a word, never fought back. He believed Ford's cruelty made him better. And you know what's insane? The Searchers got 0 Oscar nominations when it came out. Critics dismissed it, audiences thought it was just another Western, but today it's ranked as one of the greatest films ever made. So sometimes the best work doesn't get recognized until everyone who made it is dead. And their last movie together in 1963 almost killed them both. Ford was drinking heavily and suffering from shingles. Wayne thought he was too old. They filmed in Hawaii where temperatures hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and Ford literally directed some scenes while lying on a stretcher because he was too sick to stand. But they finished it, they got it done, which brings me to the moment that should have been Wayne's first Oscar win, except Hollywood politics completely screwed him over. Sands of Iwo Jima in 1949 was supposed to be Wayne's moment, his breakthrough dramatic role, except he didn't even want to do it at first, because he thought it was too similar to stuff he'd already played. But the studio had offered him $250,000 and a cut of the profits, which was massive money in 1949. So he took it, and the shoot was legitimately dangerous. They used real flamethrowers, actual explosives. Wayne got knocked unconscious for half an hour when an explosion went off too close. They had to shut down production for 2 days while he recovered. They even incorporated real combat footage from the actual Battle of Iwo Jima, and 3 of the surviving Marines who raised that flag on Mount Suribachi appeared in the film. The movie was incredible. Wayne's performance was powerful. Everyone assumed he'd win the Oscar. And then he lost to Broderick Crawford for All the King's Men. And here's the ironic twist that'll blow your mind. Wayne had turned down the lead role in All the King's Men because he thought the movie was un-American. So his own political beliefs cost him the Oscar, and it would be 11 years before Hollywood gave him another shot. But his next project nearly bankrupted him completely. The Alamo in 1960 became John Wayne's obsession, his white whale. He'd been trying to make this movie for 15 years, and when studios refused to fully finance it, he mortgaged everything he owned. His house, his cars, his boat, literally everything. The production cost $12 million, which in 1960 was an absolutely insane amount of money, and he built a full-scale replica of the Alamo in Texas using over 1.5 million adobe bricks. Every single detail was historically accurate down to the nails, which had to be period correct from the 1830s. And the set became such a popular tourist attraction, it stayed open until 2009. But filming was brutal. They used 7,000 extras, 1,500 horses, 79 days in heat that regularly hit 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and accidents kept happening. One extra took a bayonet to the gut and needed 26 stitches. When the movie finally premiered with parades and fireworks, it got 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, but Wayne wasn't even nominated for Best Director, which absolutely crushed him, and the box office numbers didn't come close to covering the production costs, so financially, it was a disaster. He nearly lost everything. Yet somehow, the movie shaped how Americans remember the Alamo story. And a decade later, Wayne finally got the recognition he'd been chasing his entire career. True Grit in 1970 should have never happened because Wayne almost turned it down. He was recovering from lung cancer surgery. They'd removed his entire left lung. He felt too old, too sick, too tired. But then he read the novel and realized Rooster Cogburn might be the role of a lifetime. So he said yes. And filming in Colorado was absolute hell. The cold weather and high altitude destroyed what was left of his health. He needed an oxygen tank between every single scene just to breathe. His horse stumbled on a steep hill and nearly threw them off a cliff. He tore a muscle in his shoulder but kept filming without telling anyone. And to play this one-eyed drunken marshal, he gained weight, wore an eye patch that cut his vision in half, and had to memorize the entire set layout so he wouldn't walk into walls. When he finally won the Oscar, he had the flu but refused to miss the ceremony. And his acceptance speech was classic Wayne. If I'd known this, I'd have put that patch on 35 years earlier. Now, some people said it was more of a Lifetime Achievement Award than recognition for that specific performance, and Wayne himself admitted that later. But it didn't matter, because Rooster Cogburn became one of his most iconic characters. And now let me tell you about his personal life, because it was messier than any script Hollywood could write. 3 marriages, 50 years, and enough drama to fill an entire season of reality TV. His first marriage to Josephine, she married him in 1933 when he was just starting to get famous. They had 4 kids together, but Wayne's rising career kept him away from home constantly. And then in 1938, he started a secret affair with Marlene Dietrich that lasted almost a decade. He tried to fix his marriage, took Josephine to Mexico in 1943 to reconnect. It didn't work. They divorced in 1945. Then came Esperanza Bauer in 1946, a Mexican actress. And this marriage was absolutely insane. She was pathologically jealous, convinced Wayne was sleeping with his co-star Gail Russell, and one night when Wayne came home late from a party, Esperanza was drunk and so enraged that she grabbed a gun and tried to shoot him as he walked through the front door. She missed, thank God, but that marriage ended fast in 1954. His third marriage to Pilar Paulette started in 1954 and technically lasted until his death in 1979. They had 3 kids, and things seemed stable for a while, but by 1973 they